Welcome, everyone. This is Pilot Needles, and you're listening to LOTRO Players News, where we take a look at the latest news in LOTRO and hear LOTRO players. And this week we have with us Terry Adwin.
Hi.
Arindus.
Hey, everybody.
Sans Winda.
Hello.
And please welcome back Maven.
Surprise! Hey, y'all.
Hello there. And today we are going to be taking a little bit look into update 23. But before we do that, let's look at the news going around in the world of LOTRO. And we'll begin then with a little look into update 20. Sorry, that's not update 23, update 22. I'm getting ambitious, aren't I?
Be nice if it was update 23.
Yeah, update 23, update 23, update 23, yes. But let's start out with update 22.3 because we had a little bit of release there on Wednesday. A couple little things. The biggest thing in there was a little prep for the summer festival because there are 2 new instances that were added, little festivity ones. And this is to follow an old tradition, I guess, by DDO, which really loves its festival instances. So I think these are the first ones I could think of related to LOTRO. And this year we have the Perfect Picnic. And we have a boss from the vault, Thrang.
Plus perfect lag. Also.
Plus perfect lag.
Since the update.
Well, I was noticing it before the update, so really that's nothing new.
What, perfect lag?
Yeah. But some of the new stuff for Summer Festival is the Rain Cloud pet, peacock, peahen, and apparently there's also a storm cloud that you can get from the ash vendor.
What?
Yeah. Because
you can get it from the ash vendor?
The storm clouds you can. The rain cloud is different. The rain cloud you get as part of the festival skirmish.
Okay.
So they're 2 different things. And you can check them out in your cosmetic pet preview panel, which somebody actually reminded me was a thing this week.
Oh.
You can get a white peacock and peahen with the ash vendor and a blue peacock and peahen at the festival order.
Okay, but then the green one, the green one is the one from the picnic vendor, right?
Right.
And so therefore you have 3 different sources in the matter because you've got your regular festival tokens where you get the blue peacock and you have the special ones you get for running the picnic fest instance in groups. Solo does not drop the tokens for it. Well, I mean, you need at least 2 other people in order to. Soloing the 3-player one is. Well, the last time I attempted it, I got you have failed the instance. What do you mean that?
Yeah.
Those hobbits are too fast, I guess. So therefore, we've got that going on in that matter. And
also,
so
if anybody has not seen the cosmetic version of Thrang's Sword, you totally need to preview it because it's awesome. Sorry.
Yeah. So you get a rain cloud. Oh, yeah, rain cloud. See, so I presume then that the one you get from the ash vendor then is maybe like the boss from the picnic?
Well, it's
really small.
It's the storm cloud. It's really little. It's like little. Hobbit size.
It's hobbit size.
It's hobbit size.
Storm cloud has like little lightning flashes through it, and the rain cloud is just rain.
Okay. I should have a look at that sometime. I'm not doing much else with my ash.
Yeah, and you can also get Bones of Smaug from the ash vendor now and a fishing pond to put at your house.
The question is, can you fish in the fishing pond?
I assume that's what makes it a fishing pond.
What one would hope. But one can't always make assumptions at times.
Update next week.
And then we have, of course, a couple of class updates as they still tweak on things. Oh, that they finally put in the lingering wound updates for the hunter because they were so broken from the last update. Says, have you had a chance to check these out?
Oh yes, Press Onward is super awesome right now. No, seriously. You can use it, and you're not going to be stuck in place while it inducts. You can use it while you're running. If only I could purge poison while moving, it would be amazing. No,
one thing at a time, Sans. One thing at a time.
No, this is super, super nice. And it makes Press Onward super useful. So that was really cool. I have not tested Lingering Wound yet, but it looks like it's quite improved as well. So, but yeah, when it dropped, the first thing I did was check Press Onward.
It's interesting. It's not in the notes, but the skill delay on the animation delay on Wild Attack seems to have gone away.
Okay.
I was noticing that last night. I wasn't dancing around uselessly waiting for my skills to fire.
Oh, and the incident at the camps and reach of justice instances in Vaillands now allow 2 players entry instead of just 1. Now, if I remember the justice instance, I think in our group we had at least 1 death while trying to do that one the first time.
I believe we did.
Yeah, so therefore, perhaps that'll take care. Of course,
think it was me both times.
Yeah. Now, of course, our biggest problem is it now allows up to 2 players, and okay, we're in a group of 3. How are we going to divide this?
Somebody runs it twice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then session interlude, no other way. The /sit no longer causes Gollum to be stuck.
Well, that's good.
Never even thought of trying /sit, but all right, I guess somebody did, and it triggered something. Anything else that anyone wishes to?
Devs have noted that the spamming policy was supposed to only affect the global channels, and it was affecting all channels.
Oh,
so
yeah, that was a bug.
You might encounter that bug. They are working on a fix.
And another bug that they had was that in the in-game chat system, apparently something got wired wrong or something like this, because now whenever you talked into the in-game chat system, you will hear your own voice. Which is, of course, not good. And that's, remember when we were on Thursday, I was wondering, well, what's going on here? Why am I hearing an echo of myself?
Yeah.
Because you had it turned on.
Yeah, it turned out because I had my voice chat on and I forgot about that bug because I think I read about it a couple hours earlier and I had completely forgotten about it. And of course, it's because if you talk, you hear yourself no matter what, even if you're the only one with voice chat on. So therefore, in-game voice chat is, until they fix this, well, I know a lot of people don't like it anyway, but it's going to be, oh my goodness gracious. Oh, I was just thinking tomorrow night, because my Sunday groups, I have 2 different options on Sunday night runs, and both of them use in-game chat.
Oh boy.
Okay. I have a feeling that's going to turn into chaos very quickly. And they fixed an issue that could prevent female high elf characters with legendary item rune satchels from logging into the Mac client. Now, that's a very specific bug. And also an issue fixed with aspect ratio auto calculation. Changing screen mode should now properly reapply the correct aspect ratio. And that is the list of the updates on there. I'm sure that there at some point is going to be either a 22.4 or 22, or more likely a 22.3.1 in order to fix a couple of things that we had on Friday. So let's head into the beacon. And it looks like people are at the summer festival on the weekend.
There's a whole lot of fishing going on.
Yeah. And Fibro Jedi updated his guide, so now we have a 2018 Summer Festival guide where you can explore the updates and all the activities that are now to offer there.
Yeah, it's really good. You should check it out.
Everything you need to know. Now, hopefully that when you click on these pictures, the pictures do get nice and large when you click on them. That's good. And the Weatherstock Concert Series will begin on July 7th and run through July 8th, which is next weekend on Langeable server. And you could click in the course in the weekend in order to get full details on this. Now, these days, Weatherstock Series is all let's see, where's the series this day? Oh, the venue is, that's for Weatherstock. Okay, Weatherstock itself is on the 21st. All right. And you can check the Final 15 and DNCO's 6th biannual Housing Week on Middle Earth contest. That's a mouthful. And B & Company also is putting together a page for Summer Festival housing items. And the Raiders of Rohan is recruiting on the Gladden server. They are social, active, and helpful kin instances and raids, kin houses, crafting stations, and ingredients crates. All are welcome. If you're looking for an amazing family of people to game with, please ask for an invite. We're always looking for players to share in the enjoyment of the game. They have a Discord server, and feel free to send the tells to the members for an invite. And now comes our weekly comment is, what is your favorite instance or skirmish?
Does Dragok count?
It sounds like Dragok sounds like an instance to me. I call raids a subset of instances because, well, they are by definition, right?
Well, and you open them from the instance finder.
Right. Yeah, also, I'll say Dragok counts.
That's my favorite. Especially that first part where you run in and you can listen to him and then start running.
Very well. Okay, Maven.
I don't know. I guess in their absence, especially the first one, the North Cotton Farm, and I guess that's just because I enjoy running that when it's up for the featured instance. I always enjoy running that. But I like to do so many of them that it's really unfair to actually say one. But that's just the one that came to mind.
How can I choose a favorite?
I love slapping.
I know, right?
hobbits.
Oh, you must enjoy the perfect picnic too if you love slapping hobbits.
Yeah, those hobbits for sure.
Those hobbits. I mean,
bad hobbits.
Yeah, those are really bad hobbits.
And I really walloped a couple of those guys.
Horrendous.
Well, I haven't run very many skirmishes or instances yet. Out of the ones that I have run, Trouble and Tuck Bro is always fun. As far as watching other people do it, Dragok is always a fun one. And also this might be mean of me, but it's fun to see people attempt Icy Crevasse at different difficulty levels. It makes for a good viewing, so there you go.
Yeah, it can make for very good viewing. As an audience member, I have to agree on that matter. If you're doing it...
No, it's not super fun when you do it.
You
depending
must
on the difficulty level.
And depending on your mood at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly not one to do when you are in a let's get this done quickly and we cannot fail mood.
Right.
Terry.
I actually really like Strike Against Standing Lore. It's
champion.
Well, it's my second go-to skirmish. It's one of the skirmishes I can get through fairly quickly.
Right.
It's actually the skirmish that I have been able to run solo, faster than anything else. I've run it in under 3 minutes.
3 minutes?
Yeah, solo tier 1. Just under 3 minutes.
At level 115?
Yeah.
I think Terry just won the game.
Well, you have to do the first encounter, but then you can skip the other encounters. So as long as you're willing to let the elves die, and let's face it, I'm not like super invested in keeping elves alive.
If you do it in 3 minutes, the elves won't have time to die.
Oh yes, they do. It depends on who you get as your encounters.
Well, okay, yes, there are some of the encounters that could give them trouble.
They go splat. Trust me. When I see random elf number 3 has died, I really don't care.
Okay. Oh, random elf number 3 because of the ray that goes around in the court.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he could smack down an elf. And as for me, well, of course, we have the. Yeah, you say, how do you choose between your children? I know there's, of course, the traditional Thunglehod, because Thunglehod and Tuckbro, of course, are usually on the top of my list on there, because always that sweet little spot for hobbits. And as for Thunglehod, siege engines! Let's head to this fence.
Pineleaf loves the ballista.
Yeah. Yeah, don't have anything else for me to do during Thunglehod? Put me on the ballista, yes. And on the fan site news, we have Blackbeard the Bald does Anorian deeds on their way to level 115. And Don't Fight Ducks continued on with their as it wrapped up Moria with Ray replay. And ending continues in Mordor in part 55 of his series there. And Gamolio Dan continues their journey through the Eastspires, Ostvarad, and Tinadir in their episode 114. And our screenshot of the week looks like a very determined elf.
It's a great shot.
It's probably a very determined high elf.
Most likely. But you gotta remember, I'm just a hamster. Do I care whether it's an elf or high elf?
No, not really.
Alright, so that screenshot of the week is by Bloodborne. And that's it for our beacon this week. So what is on sale, Terry?
Nothing really good.
Nothing good.
Well, not for the weekly sale. The weekly sale, let's see, the weekly coupon gets you a +5 hope boost times 1 with coupon off
You cut out there.
Oh. The weekly coupon gets you +5 hope boosts times 1 with coupon code MOREHOPE now through July 5th. And 25% off stat tomes, regeneration food, run speed boost, and attack damage boost. However, summer sales, you have 35% off Steed Color Pack 3, which is a War Steed Color Pack. So only applies to characters who are level 76 and up. Because for whatever reason, you can't open War Steed stuff at level 75. I don't know why. 50% off Legacy Tier Upgrade, which I don't care about. And 75% off the Night and Day Steed. Because more horses. We need more horses.
Thank you, Terry. And LOTRO Players News is brought to us today by Greedy Dragons of Middle-earth. Yeah, I'm sure your favorite Dragok will be one of the members of that club, right?
You know, he offers to share so nicely. In typical dragon fashion, just trying to convince you to come into his lair.
So he can set you on fire.
Yeah.
Well, obviously.
He fills you with a burning desire.
But
But there's so much gold in there, like, you can totally go roll around in gold piles and stuff if you get down into his lair.
and
Totally
isn't
worth
there an
visiting
emote?
Dragok.
Sorry,
Isn't there an emote?
isn't there an emote where you can like throw gold coins or something?
Isn't
Or
it
am I
Rich?
thinking of something else?
I don't know. Terry's Burglar has it, right?
I think Rich does that.
Yeah, that's the rich emote. You actually get that from the treasure hunt.
I think I saw someone use that in a Dragok raid, like either right before it started or right
It was
after.
probably me.
I think it was you.
Because I did it on my burglar with, I think I went with Corey.
Yeah.
Which was how I got the fellowship
Yep.
maneuvers unlocked. Yes, and she has that emote. Very proud of that emote. Because it's fun to stand in the gold piles and then throw coins all over the place.
Then let's head into our new player question. And Miranda's, what's the question this week?
This week, the question is about lag, everybody's favorite thing in the world in game. With the summer festival in full swing and Weatherstock coming up soon, what are some things that players can do in-game to reduce lag?
And it sounds like that Squirrel might have anticipated your...
I noticed that. I thought that was funny.
your question a little bit because he actually wrote a full thing here about lag, showing its server, of course, with its requisite hamster. Because without its hamster, of course, it'll never work on there. Now, have you had a chance to read this entire article?
I looked through it, but it doesn't give any kind of specific, or that I missed it. I didn't see any specific ways of how we can in-game fix lag.
Ah, okay. You want to know the best way in which to fix it instead of knowing why it happens.
Right. Is there anything in-game, like, I don't know, for me, I've found that turning off floaty names helps, and I was wondering if there was anything else in-game that we could do.
Floaty names, you can turn off cosmetic pets. That will help. Removing cloaks helps, but you can't really help other people's cloaks. You can turn down all the frills, all the crowd quality settings. That helps. It means that you're not going to see things as prettily.
But it also means your game is less likely to crash.
Exactly. So you'll actually be able to see something, even though it's not the best.
Setting your overall graphics quality to very low will actually set all of those, either turn them off by default or set them to very low.
Oh, okay.
And I was going to say, and I mentioned crowd quality thing because I keep having to change that manually.
Yes, that's in the advanced graphics options. It's something called player crowd quality. You turn that all the way down to 0, and then there's also a checkbox for player mesh combining, which, when it's enabled, distant players render faster, which means you get to see more characters on the screen at once. And you kind of really don't want that if you've got a bunch of people that are going to lag out your system. So if you uncheck that, it helps reduce lag.
And then, of course, you can turn off all the particles and things. Just be careful when you're turning off particles. I discovered that it is possible to turn off the little swirly things that tell you when a mob is inducting. And if you happen to be struggling with lag in a raid, especially a raid that requires you to interrupt inductions or move away from things that are inducting, you want to be careful and test which particle things you're turning off, because one of them will turn that off. But if there happen to be runekeepers doing crazy things, you can totally turn off the sparklies.
So much fire.
Right. And in Weatherstock specifically, yes, turning down your graphics in there will make a big difference on the music, how the music sounds, which is where that becomes very important. I remember my first weather stock where I didn't know how much I had to reduce my graphics. I think that very low idea is probably the best idea there. I wasn't quite down to very low, and the music, well, let's just say the music was laggy. So therefore, if you are going to go to Weatherstock Live, yes, most definitely do all these things that we just said, especially lower down your graphics so that you won't have any lag, reduce the chance of crashing, and most of all, so you can actually enjoy the music.
And don't move around much. Like,
Well,
if you find yourself in a bad spot, get out of the way of the people that you need to get out of the way of, but, like, once you're parked, pretty much just stay put, because once your computer catches up to where you are, you're less likely to experience lag if you're not moving, so.
Gotcha.
Did we manage to answer your question?
As always, yes, and thank you.
Then let's go on now. As for our site news, the only article we have is Squirrel's article related to lag, and I was wondering if anyone had anything they wanted to add related to that.
Well, this is a mechanical look at lag and why it happens, which is really interesting, but doesn't help a lot of people because, again, it doesn't really have practical tips for...
It helps you to understand why it's happening. It doesn't say, okay, but what can I do about it?
Right.
It might be coming in a future article. We're not exactly sure yet.
Well, yes, there is that, because Squirrel is known for having installments for many of his articles.
Well, and one of the things that you could take to bridge between these is that one of the things that we're doing when we're turning all these settings down is reducing the amount of information that has to travel from the server to your computer and back to the server and back to your computer. Because, as Squirrel points out, that's often where the lag happens, is in the trying to transfer all of the information for all of the different characters on your screen. Because every little particle that you see has to travel all the way to Boston and back to you.
Well, actually, isn't it in New Jersey?
Okay, all the way back to New Jersey. And it has to travel all the way back to the servers and back to you every time that particle moves. So every time a cloak shifts or one of the pets flutters its wings, like thinking of the owls, or every time you move, like it's sending all that information back and forth. And so the more you can reduce how much information is being sent back and forth, the less lag you're going to have. If you're having lag problems.
I think that covers it all. So let's head into the review for Update 22. And we will begin by going over the epic storyline.
Also known as the Black Book of Mordor.
Well, in this case, of course, it is the Black Book of Mordor rather than the epic story.
And at this point, we should give a spoiler alert, probably.
Oh, spoiler alert! Yeah, that would be
unless
helpful.
we're going to talk in vague terms that aren't going to tell anybody anything. But some of the first things in the Black Book were big spoilers, so...
Yes, spoilers.
Yeah, so there will be plenty of spoilers in here, so if you want to skip all the spoilers, jump about 10 to 15 minutes up.
Probably more like 20.
Alright, just be safe, go up to 20 minutes, and then
And if that's too long, you can always back up a little bit.
Right. So then, we are, of course, still in Mordor at the beginning of this. And we're trying to figure out what are the Gurzel up to, because they've got to be up to something, because we're assuming that they're all working together or something like that after that great unity thing, but it looks like, though, that not everything seems to be all nice and merry between the orcs. I know, what shock, as you would think. There seems to be still some question as to be what's going on in there. And eventually we find out that there is this warrior called the Weeping Warrior that's missing, and we're trying to trace out what we can learn about it. And eventually we trace the rumors all the way down to Dol Guldur. So therefore, we head out to Dol Guldur, and we find that Galadriel is there. And we arrive there just before she's about to tear the whole thing down brick by brick.
Yeah, she's going to bring the house down, literally.
Yeah. So therefore, since we need to go in and see if this Weeping Warrior is inside there, she says, okay, you could go in to recall the scouts that we have in there and see if you could find anything. All right, that sounds fair enough. So we go in there, warn the elves in there. Then we continue on, and we find this door. We go in there, and we're told that there's probably something very evil down there. And we find out that we go into the hall where Sauron went after he fell against fell at the end of the Second Age, when with the Isildur and all that stuff. So after he went,
we find Sauron's sickbed, basically.
Yeah, Sauron's sickbed. So therefore, while we were in Rivendell for 3,000 years, we were playing a high elf. This is where Sauron spent 1,000 or 2 years trying to recover. So therefore, he's giving orders from here while slowly reaccumulating his strength over time, and showing him talking to some various people. One of the ones that we see images of him talking to is the Weeping Warrior, who seemed to have been obsessed about trying to elicit the, I guess, aid of Smaug. Or, yeah, so to elicit the aid of Smaug there. And we also see a number of stuff of Lareth there, where she was going, where, of course, she was having her little things trying to convince Sauron to provide her with a child and all that stuff.
So wrong.
So wrong, yes. Yeah, that is like... So we see these things, and when we see the final one of these images, we find out that somebody is approaching. And the someone turns out to be Sigilith. And Sigilith apparently has been in this place. Well, we saw 42 marks on the back of the wall. Apparently, Sigilith seems to be saying that's the number of orcs she killed, though based on my calculations of the day in which we would have been in Dol Guldur and the day in which Dol Guldur was wrecked down, she would have been in there for 42 days. So apparently she's been killing an orc a day.
She killed an orc a day. That was how she passed the time.
Yes. That's how we keep our calendar there. We had no other way of keeping time in there because you're not seeing the sunlight and all that stuff. So killing an orc a day, that's how you keep yourself healthy. A dead orc a day keeps the Nazgul away or something. And also, we brought the walls. And after we finish with that, we go back up. We bring out Sigilith, all nice and happy. And then Galadriel then destroys Dol Guldur. We get to see it turn into rubble.
It's quite an epic moment.
Yeah. So therefore, after that, where do we go? It's now time to head into Aaron Lasglen, otherwise known the Wood of the green leaves or something like that. In other words, Northern Mirkwood.
Northern
Or-
Mirkwood.
Or
Who can keep
the
up with the silly elf names?
right, yes, it's the forest formerly known as Mirkwood.
Yeah.
Yes. So we head into there to the Hall of King Thranduil in Felgoth, and we meet the Elven King. And there we learn that there are, of course, spies all about. I know. So we gotta start looking for all this fun stuff. Essentially, we look for foes all through the area. And eventually, we get sent near this place where was the previous home of the elves before they moved to Felgoth. And that place is, surprise, surprise, filled with the undead.
Surprise!
And a surprise. And after that little thing about finding that stuff there, I'm trying to say, is that, I forgot whether we see the rust in the epic there or whether that was a side quest where we see the rust.
I think it was a side quest.
Yeah. All right. So we'll talk a lot about rust later on. But anyway, we find out one of the things that we are trying to do is to find out about the Weeping Warrior, because Gandalf is obsessed to find out what the Weeping Warrior is looking for. Yes, we traced Weeping Warrior. The entire point was to go to Dol Guldur for doing this, and now
We figured out he's looking for something, but nobody seems to know what it is he's looking for.
right. So therefore, that's why we're up there. Bogatesh or something weird like that. So therefore, that's the reason why I went to this fun little undead place, and we found no Bogatesh there. Oh no, big shock. And then we eventually found that there was this big set of artifacts that was being studied, but nothing there seemed like it was going to be obviously Bogatish's. Then Gandalf thought maybe it was something to do with Schmog that this Bogatish was. So therefore, he sent us to Lake Town. Oh, actually, first he sent us they have a difference in the game. In the game, Lake Town is the new Lake Town, while Esgaroth is old Lake Town that is currently a burnt shell that has.
It's a dragon's graveyard.
Yeah, essentially a dragon's graveyard, yes. So therefore, we go there. We don't find anything interesting. Well, okay, we do find dragon bones there.
We definitely find dragon bones.
We definitely find dragon bones there. And after there, we eventually then run into Mithrandir. I know, big shock there. And once we find Mithrandir, we then go into there. We go to the dwarves and see if we can find anything there. Because one of the questions we have is maybe this Bogatish or something like this is something that the dwarves have from Schmog's cache. And we figure if it's going to be anywhere, it would be with the dwarves. Maybe it's even the Arkenstone. Then we get to the dwarves, we find out there's this decline in the skill levels of the dwarves. And that their skills have been declining over the years, especially recently, and we're wondering, well, what's causing it? Now, some people were thinking that maybe the Arkenstone was cursed and that was causing the decline. Then others were thinking, well, maybe they're being helped by the Arkenstone, and maybe the Arkenstone was stolen from Thorn's grave. But whichever is the case, one of the questions that we had to find out was the Arkenstone lair. Now, the problem is that we can't just go opening Thorn's grave because that would be disrespectful without permission of the family. And Thorn's closest kin that was still alive was Thorn's sister, Dees. Therefore, we headed up to Ravenhill, where we met Dees. And it was decided that the best way to introduce this little situation was to recall a little time of what Gandalf did at the House of Beorn. So therefore, he sends us there. And then dwarves start. Then when Dees sends us on an errand, we come back and apparently a dwarf or two has arrived. Sends us on another errand and more dwarves arrived. So by the time we come for the last time, we have an entire horde of dwarves plus Gandalf at Ravenhill ready to speak to Dees. And Dees is now wondering, okay, what's up? And then we tell her that we would like to examine Thorn's tomb, or if she could do it, so that we could find out if the Arkenstone still lay there. And she said that she was due for paying respects to her brother anyway, so she agreed to do it. We head in there, and after having a nice talk with all the dwarves along the way, let's talk to this dwarf, let's talk to this dwarf, let's talk to this dwarf, we finally arrive to the gravesite, to the crypt. She checks it in there, and the Arkenstone is there. So therefore, Gandalf then begins to wonder. I think one of the things that's proposed is the possibility that the decline is due to the loss of the rings. In which case, that's going to be a real fun thing to get around. But the other thing is that Gandalf starts to come up with a hypothesis of what is this thing that the Weeping Warrior is looking for. And a hypothesis he starts to come up with this big, long linguistics argument that maybe what he's looking for is actually his true name and that it's been forgotten.
So we've been running all over the place looking for a thing, and it's not actually a thing.
Yeah. Well, that is, of course, currently a hypothesis of Gandalf. We have not yet demonstrated that to be the case yet either, but it says that, yes, we may be on a wild drake case here. And that is where things are left off. And based on recent hints, it sounds like that's going to eventually lead us on a trail up north. That we'll have to find out. Now, how's that for an epic story?
It was quite epic. I was very excited by this story, especially when they hinted dragons.
Dragons. Oh yeah, lots of hints on dragons on here. And there are a lot more hints even on the side quests.
Mm-hmm.
Especially anything that has to do with Karazgar, the Weeping Warrior. So let us then look at let's start talking about the landscapes of the area. Anyone have anything they have to say about it? We have, of course, Northern Mirkwood here. We have the Dale lands, which includes the old lake town, the new lake town, Dale itself, and of course we have Erebor. Oh, and of course we can't forget the Raft Elves.
Oh, yes. Maven's Keebler Elves.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, they start you, if you're following the Black Book, you'll start in Northern Mirkwood. And that's interesting. the river will still put you to sleep, and it's still pretty murky in there.
Well, it takes a few years to clear out a wood.
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed, though, because when I went to sleep, I did not have dreams of feasts and elves.
Apparently that's the first thing to go.
I mean, I was sad about the feasting part, not so sad about not dreaming of elves, I'll be honest, as a hobbit. But, yeah. It's Mirkwoody.
It's Mirkwoody, yeah.
And it's misleading. They said the spiders were gone.
Mostly gone.
I might have died a few times trying to follow my quest tracker straight through just today. But yeah,
Well, yeah,
I think they did a good job preserving the Mirkwood feel into Northern Mirkwood.
Well, the map is slightly broken for Northern Mirkwood. And I say this because if you actually are trying to figure out where you are on the map based on where other things are on the map, it's not quite right. Because it said my dot was on the road, and I was not on the road. I was actually nowhere near the road. The road was way over there. But it said I should have been on the road. So it's super easy to get lost.
Yeah, it's very easy to get lost. And of course, yeah, losing the road is very... Yes, you do have these posts to tell you where it's at, but sometimes I've been known to wander off on a couple of occasions. Okay, this is the road, right? No, that's not the road. So, yes, you do have to be careful where you're going in there. You do have markers. You have one on the left. They alternate between the left side of the road and the right side of the road. And if you follow things nice and properly, you have no problem. But we are
They
adventurers.
look like asparagus spears.
Yeah,
the markers.
The asparagus markers.
Yeah.
They kind of look like they should be lit up or like have attracts fireflies property to them. But sadly they do
that would be cool if at night. Yeah, that'd be cool if the asparagus tip actually lit up. That'd be awesome.
Wouldn't that be great?
Well, I think at least the fireflies idea really would be great. That would give that at least would be a little bit more in line with lore, probably.
Well, and then you have that creepy elven ruin that we kind of glossed over because you only go in it briefly as part of the Black Book. But if you're actually following the story for Aaron Laskelin, there's a lot more to that ruin than meets the eye, and the story there is actually really cool. And when they say that, when the elves tell you that they were chased out because of the growing darkness, yeah, you definitely get the sense that the darkness grew and grew and grew until nobody could live there anymore, which is why there's all a bunch of undead.
Yeah.
So there are also scholar mats.
It's extremely creepy.
Well, yes, they apparently didn't take all their scholar mats with them when they left.
Well, no, I mean, growing darkness, kind of leaving in a bit of a hurry. Yeah, great treasure trove for scholar mats.
Then, of course, we've got the thing that place is very hilly, which is one.
Yeah, for a forest, there's really not a lot of flat stretches.
Yeah. So, therefore, very few flat stretches.
But there are all kinds of places. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say very few flat stretches leads to lots of broken legs.
Yes, it also leads to the bandages that we've been getting as presents being super useful.
Yeah.
Those things are amazing. I was thinking, though, that there's also lots of Hobbit Easter eggs. As you're going through, you can basically follow in the path of the Bilbo and dwarves. So, Thorn's company, which is pretty cool.
And maybe someday I'll find all those places.
And text will pop up and tell you about it. I mean, you can even climb a tree, guys, and see the black butterflies.
Someday
That's
I'll
cool.
actually find that tree.
I tried to find it again, Maven, but I cannot find it again.
I can tell you
That was
where it
really
is.
awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to find. Yeah, and actually, if you just take the road out of Felagoth and make a right onto the main road, and then just start spamming delete, you'll find it. But I can actually even show you on the map where it is.
Okay. And you have that. So that takes care of Northern Mirkwood, otherwise known as Air. What was the proper way? Eric, I try to think of the proper way to pronounce it, but I'm sure we'll all botch it up. Aaron Losglin or some.
I was thinking it's probably Lasgallon. Aaron Lasgallon.
Lasgallon, whatever.
I don't know. I haven't noticed any of the NPCs actually saying it out loud.
There's a reason for that. Right. Once we do there, then we go into the area for the Raft Elves, which is, of course, on the borderline between the Wood of the Green Leaves and of the Lake Town area, because that's where all the barrels are collected by the elves after all those empty barrels, unless of course a dwarf sneaks into them, it goes down the river.
Well, this town was interesting because it basically was like somebody had the concept of a bunch of lily pads as their functional design, and they just took that up to 11 and went with it.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I mean, a lot of elven architecture tends to be circular anyway. I mean, you've got a lot of fancy swirls and whorls and whatnot, but like it's almost like flats that aren't on trees. So we've got these flat circles that are just sitting on the lake.
So water flats.
Totally it's totally what it reminded me of, was like water flats. It was like if they were in trees, they would totally fit around a tree.
I had never thought of that, but you are right.
I spend way too much time around elves. I really do.
Yeah. And you try to avoid it as much as possible.
I do, and I keep getting sucked back in there.
Then after you finish with them, then you go into then you have the Lake Town area, which includes two versions of two lake towns. The one that was destroyed some ridiculous number of years ago. And then you have the other one, which is to the north of that, which was rebuilt by the people who fled from the original lake town.
Now, we talked about the new lake town like multiple times. Just because
it comes up in conversation a lot.
It comes well, that's basically where we've been questioning, but we've talked about it multiple times because as far as landscape goes, because the new lake town has all of these piers out on the water with outhouses at the end of them. So as we were going through this area, I spent a lot of time saying, I really don't want to swim here. Yeah. I got to be really careful running around this town because I do not want to fall off a bridge. Stuff like that.
Yeah, we do wonder how they prevent cholera in that area.
Well, they're close enough to Erebor. Maybe they're all just drinking dwarven beer.
You have a point there. You're right. It might. Let's see.
I can't imagine that people would drink water if they've got dwarven beer on offer.
Well, I don't know if humans could drink, dwarven beer straight up.
Yeah, but the alcohol would kill anything in the water.
Yeah, but if you if you water it a little bit, then I mean, it's certainly not unprecedented in human history. And therefore, that takes care of that. We have Lake Town, which is incredible how you could build a maze on a city built on piers. But they managed it.
It really is.
Because the number of times we've got lost in there. So beware, you can get lost in Lake Town.
Although, to be fair, Lake Town was easier for me to figure out than Dale.
Okay, well, yes, because that's where we're coming up next, and of course is Dale, which is our big central hub for update 22.
And it really needs its own map.
But it doesn't have one yet.
So are you guys saying that these places are harder to navigate than they appear?
No, because Lake Town definitely appears like it's something that's going to be a pain to navigate. Like, you can tell from looking at the place that getting through there is going to be something of a challenge. Because you've got all of these arched bridges and things and various wooden walkways going every which way. So you know when you get there that it's going to be a challenge to find your way around. Dale, on the other hand, looks like it should make sense. And Dale probably would be easier to navigate if it had its own map. Like, if I could tell, kind of like how Bree has its own map, Dale needs a map like that.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, there was a time when Bree was considered to be impossible to navigate. Of course, now it's 10 years later, and even if it is impossible to navigate, most players have memorized it.
Bree since the old days, too.
Well, there is all that.
They did the update. Not that the update made it any easier to navigate, really, in a functional sense, but the map is better.
And of course, north of Dale, we have Erebor, the Lonely Mountain.
Which is awesome because it's full of really cool dwarves.
Awesome, full of really cool dwarves, and yeah, I know that. Yeah, Terry just loves the dwarves that are in there. And says, "What?"
Every time we do a dwarf quest and we're reading the text aloud, I am always just tickled by how completely awesome the dwarves are to themselves and to other people.
And then she reads ElfQuest text and goes, "Ah!"
Well, and even the folk in Dale was... I yelled at them quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, yes, that's right. Remember, you did do quite a bit of yelling at them.
I did. Well, because they're complaining about dealing with Easterlings, and I'm like, I just came from frickin' Minas Tirith where they're being nice to Easterlings. Shut up!
Yeah. Then... Well,
I mean, honestly,
yeah,
if anybody's got a bone to pick with the Easterlings, the Gondorians should be first in line. And Terry Adwin, my main Terry Adwin, is from Gondor, so she's allowed to be a little bit elitist when it comes to this very sensitive issue for her.
Yeah. So therefore, after... And I think that's it for our basic land. And of course, Lonely Mountain is a mountain, so therefore you can expect that to be really rocky and hilly.
It does have some of the coolest set pieces in the game. Like different dwarven uniquities that we don't see anywhere else, and I totally just made that word up, but I don't care.
Right. So let's go from the landscape into mobs. So therefore we have all sorts of mobs that you run into, usual sort of stuff, because in the forest you run into
Boars and bears and wolves. Oh my.
Oh my. And wood trolls.
And wood trolls.
Annoying wood
The
trolls.
occasional little tiny spider.
Yeah.
Like tiny spiders.
Yeah. You've run into very few large spiders in Northern Mirkwood, and it's part of the storyline, so therefore you're wondering, well, wait a minute, is this the original source of the whole thing about big spiders and all that? Yes, there is an entire storyline that discusses that matter as to what's going on that. In fact, that's one of the big mysteries that they were hinting at when we were first starting, when they were teasing for this update. We're saying, where have the spiders gone? Of course, when I was saying that the spiders are gone, there aren't enough of them gone for Sans Windows taste.
No, not enough to actually call them gone, in my opinion. But it's kind of cool how they tie it back to the High Elf intro, as well, when you're getting information about these spiders, and, like, I mean, information about spiders is kind of nasty, but the tie-in with the High Elf intro was kind of cool. And, really, I don't think, if you're missing big spiders in Northern Mirkwood, just go to Southern Mirkwood and you'll have plenty. So don't worry about that. There's plenty for you in Lingris, too. So, definitely not a downside that there aren't many big spiders in, Aaron Laskalin.
Right.
But, yeah, the way they keep talking, like, all the spiders are gone. Oh, I can't believe the spiders are gone. Oh, where did the spiders... Who cares where the spiders went? They're gone! They're not actually gone. Oops. I guess we thought they were gone, but... Yeah, no. It's like bad pest control or something. Being like, yeah, we got all the spiders. Oh, wait a second. I mean, like, minus some of them. So...
Well... I believe that...
Well, Sans does have a valid point. Like, where all the spiders are gone, and really, who does care? Because why is this an issue? They never quite tell us why it's an issue.
Well, actually, there's one reason it does seem to be an issue, because when the spiders left, it looks like the trolls moved in to take their place, and that's why we've got all these trolls all over the place. Because until recently, there weren't all those wood trolls all about. It's been years, maybe even an age, since there have been wood trolls and going around all around through Northern Mirkwood. Now they're suddenly there again, as if they're filling in the void. No, but they do go around stunning you and pushing you back 20 feet.
Well, that is true. They are annoying. But in theory, they could be cured. How are you going to cure a spider? You're not. Like, a wood troll, there might be some hope. You might at least clear the forest of it.
Oh, well...
Besides which, they're more fun to fight.
If you say so.
As long as you don't have too many at once.
As long as you don't have too many at once. Yeah, that's another matter on there. So those are the main mobs. And of course, in the place we're talking about, the undead infested area where you have the usual undead messes that you have to go with. Sometimes packed a little bit more closely together than I would have preferred. So that's oh yeah, there are a couple of orcs here and there, but not nearly in the numbers that you would run into them in Mordor or someplace like that. Then when we go into the Dale Lands, of course, the big thing you're going to run into a lot are Easterlings. Okay. Yeah, okay, Easterlings. We've got some band of brigands that are working with the Weeping Warrior. And you have various wild animals in the area, since we're talking about, open area where you've got things such as elk, you've got lynx, you've got those war cats that got separated from their masters during the war. So those things brought
battle cats.
Yes, those feral battle cats. And some wolves, of course. Anyway, and the Aurochs. So basically, your usual wildlife things that you. And of course, we've got a swamp down there that has things like flies in there. So yeah, quite a large variety of things that you run into. But I think the bulk of the storyline type quests, they tend to be involving Easterlings or brigands, one or the other. Any other mobs in that area you could think of?
I didn't notice any spiders.
Yeah, I do not believe that there were any spiders out in that area. Now, the spiders may have been used. You would think, though, with all the flies that are in that one swamp, that a couple of spiders could have found their way there, but that's an entirely different matter.
I'm not too sad they didn't. I'd rather run away from flies or fight them.
Okay, fine. Then that takes care of the mobs that are down there. And in Erebor itself, that's just a continuation of the Darelands. There aren't too many mobs indoors on there. As far as I know, the only mobs we ever run into indoors that I could think of are those cave crawlers that have gotten into the beer barrels.
Yes. I love that quest. That was an awesome quest.
Yeah, it sounds like to me that Terry might say, Terry might decide, well, maybe I could do that one when it's up as a daily.
Yes. Is it a daily?
I believe
Yes, it is. And by the way, you can actually ignore the cave claws. Especially if you're mounted, you can do it on your goat.
You can.
Hit the barrel, let the claw come out, go to the next barrel.
That's so rude to just leave them sit there for people.
Well, they follow you, and then after like a timeout, then they burrow into the ground and disappear.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, but that sort of
You just killed them all.
defeats what you're asked to do by the quest giver.
Besides, the cave claws deserve a pounding
Pshaw.
for being in the beer.
Yeah.
That's true.
And that pretty much covers the mobs that we run into this area. So let's go a little bit more into quests if we haven't, there's anything we haven't covered. So let's go back into our friendly forest, which has some wonderful quests in there, like help Radagasta Brown.
Well, that one wasn't the annoying one.
Okay, yeah, the Radagasta Brown. Yeah, I know. That's why I decided to do that one first. And with Radagasta Brown, it was to help to clear out the corruption of the forest, so that because we are trying to turn this in from Mirkwood into the wood of the green leaves. So therefore, we have this corruption that's spreading in there. We're trying to see, well, why is there still corruption around if the spiders seem to be disappearing and if the necromancer's lair has been destroyed and Sauron has fallen, what's still going on in there? I don't think we ever get any answers to that, but we are trying to clear things out at least. Then the other one is, I'm sure, the one that Terry Adwin is sighing about, and that is our friendly Bjorning quest.
Stupid bears.
Yeah, that is the quest, especially if you get there at a time, because sometimes, because of the timing of the way things, you could sometimes be going to one of the quest givers in there, the sister of the Bjorning PCs, and she's there surrounded by these trolls. Now, usually the trolls are awful away, so you talk to her, then you're asked to kill trolls, and sometimes the trolls come up and all that stuff. Oh, fine and good, but there have been times when I wanted to do that quest, talk to her, and she is surrounded by these trolls. 6 trolls. At least one of them is a signature. Do you know what happens when you try to take on 6 trolls at the same time?
Yeah, you go splat.
Right. And I know that the last time, I think I think I had to help somebody with that to talk to her. Oh, that's right, because we were going back to her in order to do something about the talk to her to finish up a question. I think Sans might have needed to do that or something like this. And she was surrounded at the time. So what I did is that since I had finished everything for that, I had my burglar come up to there, sort of, actually, no, my warden in there, throw a javelin at them. And I start running towards the road. They're all chasing me. And then that gave Sans to talk to. That was with you, Sans, right?
I think it was me.
Oh, with you? Okay.
I think I was trying to find you.
Oh, okay. Oh, you're. All right. So, or
I'd already died twice.
Oh, that's right. You had already died twice. That's right. Yeah, that's right. It was Terry then. Yes. And so therefore I got their attention. Then Terry was able to speak with her while the trolls were busy chasing me. So yeah, that is really annoying that the trolls are sometimes around. I think it could only mean that somebody tried to do the quest where she says she's surrounded, that they come there, and that that person dies. I think the trolls stay there instead of moving back to their original place, which is really, really rude. I didn't think of the possibility that maybe somebody is there and intentionally leaves the place. Or the third possibility is someone goes there, starts looking for trolls, not knowing that the trolls are going to come to there, and the trolls come there while they're out killing the other trolls. That's the third possibility. All sorts of reasons. But to me, it's poor quest design because that's really annoying. And that's just the beginning of the quest line. Well, okay, maybe it's the middle of it, but that's the beginning of the annoying part of the quest line, at least, where you think sitting under there, you follow her tracks through Mirkwood, which is really, really fun.
Yeah, it's actually like the middle of the quest line. So you do like 5 or 6 different things to get to this instance, and then you do this instance, and in any other quest chain, this would be the end of the thing. Like, you get done rescuing the bear finally, if you manage to rescue the bear finally, because it only took me like 4 or 5 tries to do it.
Oh, okay.
And then, you should talk to her and be done. But no! Wait! There was more after that, and the more after that was like the tedious, boring stuff that should have led up to the big giant instance that was going to make you go splat.
Yeah, all right, because that's what, after tracking that thing, we get to the big giant instance. And yeah, that is... They tamed it down, and it's still a tough instance.
So aggravated. Because I'm thinking, okay, all I have to do is get through this instance, and we're done. No, we're not done. We still have the rest of the quest chain. I'm like, are you And what does the rest of the quest chain entail? The rest of the quest chain entails picking up stuff that the guy dropped while he was being chased by trolls. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Well, that's right, because I don't... Yeah, that's because even though we do also have the one where we're closing up the dens and stuff like that, that's not technically part of the quest chain. Yeah, though it is related. But yeah, that is really, really... So we have to do
Pick up your own spilled goods!
And that sends us all throughout that region. Pick up this, pick up this, pick up this, pick up this, pick up this. Yeah. So after that, we're finding them. And in fact, that was, even though that's in the first area, that was the last area we finished. Because after we finally turned in that quest, we found and picked up all those things, we said, oh, we suddenly got a piece of mail from the Regent. Oh, we'll get to the Regent in a moment. Okay, that is Northern, and the other, we also have a quest line related to the undead area. Now, is that tied in with Radagast, or was that a third chain?
I think it was something else. I think it was sort of loosely related to the Rust and Rhyme thing.
Yeah, it had some relation to that too. Yeah, you're right. I think it was the first of the Rust and Rhyme quest lines. Yeah. And that is, we're trying to find out stuff, of course, with our old friend, the Weeping Warrior, because he comes in not only into the Black Book of Mordor, but he also ties into the main storyline threads that are going all throughout the region also. And we go to this undead area, and eventually we find this treasure trove of artifacts. And that's why, because of the artifacts thing, was the reason why I was thinking it was related to the Black Book. And when you're in there, of course, we find that there's this pile of rust next to it. Right. And so that's a running thread all throughout. And after
I still haven't quite figured out what the deal is with the rust, but okay.
Yeah, how far have you gotten in everything?
Oh, I've gotten all the way through it.
Okay, so
Oh, they talk about the rust.
Was it the Lay of Rust and Rhyme?
No, it
Yeah.
was before that. It was the end of I don't remember which question it was.
well, that would be. Well, we'll be getting to that. That's part of the Arab War question.
Well, I think it was.
And so let's head into the Raft Elves. The Raft Elves are trying to ask you to we need to find a mystery. There's a thief around here. Someone's stealing our stuff. What do we do? What do we do? Can you help? And we need to find out what this thief is all about, because until that, the king wouldn't be fully satisfied that we can open up trade again. And of course, the Raft Elves are twiddling their thumbs until trade opens up again, because
elves are useless.
Yeah. And eventually they decide that this thief seems to be coming from Esgaroth of Old, so they send us to Esgaroth to find out what's going on over there. And we find out that there are people there who's trying to be like collecting parts of the bones of Smog is what they're doing. How's that for
Yes, because somebody decided that the bones of Smog would make a fantastic souvenir.
Yeah. Well, actually, I think that the real reason for it is I get the impression that the whole thing with the bones of Smog, while some people are thinking it's a good souvenir, I think the real instigation for it is that I think that Kurzgar is convinced that if he makes a potion from the bones of Smog, it'll cure him.
Well, dragon bones in particular.
Yeah, dragon bones, yes. Well, it has to be a great dragon.
Yes.
I think he feels. So
bones of a great dragon.
And Smog seemed to be what he thought would be a great bet in that matter.
Well, plus Smog's bones are kind of easily accessible.
Yeah, there is that. That's probably why those were the first ones he tried. So we went through there. We had that series on there to unlock the whole storyline then of Lake Town. So we start the Lake Town storyline, which has the murder mystery with the master,
which ends in another murder mystery.
Yes. Well, yes. If you start a murder mystery, you got to finish with a murder mystery.
Ill-fated dinner party and another murder mystery. Yeah.
Yeah. Very definitely, yes. And this is where I discovered that Terry Adwin fashion sense seems to involve armor, more armor, and even more armor.
Yeah. But then when we got out of the dinner party and Pineleaf said something to the effect of, I got to put something on so that I can go fight things, I didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you didn't have to worry about that in the least. So that was what Lake Town was all about. A, worrying about what all the smugglers were about, and B, trying to solve that little mystery. And then after that, we get sent up into Dale, which is all about the trying to help some of the Eastern. Okay, we have Easterlings I told you about. We have actually several groups of Easterlings. We've got the Jungagar, which we've been fighting forever. And of course, there's a group of Jungavar up here. And they, of course, are aggressive in there, and you fight them all over the place. You could kill them at will. We also have two other groups of Easterlings who are refugees who are rushing from Rune. One of them I forgot. I remember And I know the Chaisar, who are and the other ones are the ones who are really the merchants, and the people know the other group, and I can't remember their name, but for some reason I remember the name of the Chaisar more readily.
I don't know that the others actually had a specific identifier other than Easterlings.
No, they did have an identifier. I think they might have only say it once or something like that. The Chaisar, I think, are mentioned several other times. And the Chaisar are interesting in that one of the storylines that happens when you're dealing with them is that they have this memory cloth. And it's a very interesting artifact. What you could think of how an artifact that is both useful to the rightful users, but is very dangerous to someone else.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, knowledge is power. And they have these people who are specially trained and understand, and it gives you the memories of the past, so you can know the history of your people and understand what they've gone through there, and hopefully be able to work out something well and go through it. For example, they knew that at some distance time their people had been living on the shore of the lake because the memories of that time are all in the memory cloth. And of course, somebody steals it, and you have to worry about what goes on as a result of that, because the thief, of course, is completely the wrong person to try to use it, and pretty much drives him mad.
Yeah, it doesn't end well.
And he wasn't exactly the sharpest spear in the room as it was. So we have that one that you got to worry about, and we have all the refugees ones in there. So that's your storyline that you have going on in there. Then we go to Erebor,
where we have dwarves.
And of course trying to integrate the stout axes. So we have the stout axes who are coming in from Mordor as refugees also. So we have refugees all over the place. So a lot of storyline there relates to the refugees there. And of course all this time we are... Oh, that's right. And also a storyline related to dragons.
Yes.
And
I'm so excited to learn about all the dragons.
Right. So we start learning all the dragons and stuff like this. And we're learning all the... And finally culminating in where we see that the Weeping Warrior has this obsession with dragons. Oh, that's right, because we have the quest where we go about looking for the remains of the Great Ice Worm, right?
Yeah, and this wasn't the well, not the remains of the Great Ice Worm, but some of the other worms. And this wasn't the Lay of Rust and Rime because it was before we started the Lay of Rust and Rime.
Right, it was before that, yeah.
Because we hadn't saved the stupid bear yet, so we couldn't do the Lay of Rust and Rime. And this is where we find out that the reason Karazgar is obsessed with dragons is because he was actually cursed to feel pain in the presence of dragons or something. I forget exactly how he was cursed, but I know that his curse is related to dragons.
Oh,
and I know
he was cursed by dragon venom. He was bitten by the dragon, and it's corroding him.
Yeah,
yeah. And so he's like undying, but he's also eternally dying.
Right now, I think what happened is
piles of rust all over the place.
I think that when he was made Gurzel by Sauron, it was the being Gurzel counteracted the pain. The problem is that when Sauron died and was destroyed, that protection disappeared. And that's why he's feeling pain. I think the pain was either bearable or was suppressed while Sauron was in power.
Well, he got that curse while he was working for Sauron to begin with, because he was the guy that Sauron was sending to go try and recruit dragons for his cause.
There is that, but I still think that
to
it was mitigated. To very, very reasonable success, because he had, one that he had to kill, and Schmog, you can see how well that worked out.
Well, he talks Smaug into, he tricks Smaug into attacking the dwarves of Erebor.
Yeah, and then eventually they give their. No, actually, no, never mind. That I was about the same thing there. That's something that's revealed later. But anyway, yes, I seem to have gotten the impression that the pain, that he was able to bear the pain before Sauron was defeated, and that's why he's suddenly obsessed with it now in trying to get all these cures and find out what he can and trying to collect all these remains. So therefore he tries he tries to stuff with Smaug, and that apparently hasn't worked him. He tries to steal the bones of another dragon, all this stuff. He's doing everything he can related to dragons, and well, obviously nothing we've heard about him lately has worked. Well, if it's worked, it hasn't worked well enough for him to stop searching. That's a lot. By the way, I think this has been lots of spoilers here.
Are we over our 20-minute spoiler warning?
By about 40 minutes or so.
Wasn't paying attention at the time. That's not my job.
Well, the spoiler warning was specifically for the Black Book.
Oh, okay.
The spoiler warning for quests in general, yeah, that's...
Well, we've been talking about various quests in general, so people are kind of already spoiled anyway.
Yeah, it's all right. So, therefore, that's all that's going on there. So, therefore, we have quests related to dragons, related to beasts, related to the spiders, related to Easterlings, all sorts of things that we have going up there. Lots of intrigue up into the northeast area. And when you finish all this stuff, you start the Black Book of Mordor, but that will be in a separate episode.
Oh, you start the Lay of Rust and Rhyme.
Yeah, the Lay of Rust and Rhyme. When we start the Lay of Rust and Rhyme, we will cover that separately, so it'll have its own spoiler warning.
Yeah.
Now, what have we not covered so far?
I think we've gone over everything. Did we want to do scores?
Yeah, that'd be good. Okay, Sanswinda, what kind of score will you give to this?
I'll give it an A. Although the spider claims were misleading, and there are totally still spiders in Aaron Laskalin, on the whole, I really enjoyed the landscapes. Minus getting lost running into mountains, trying to find my way through Mirkwood. But, I liked the landscapes. I liked the different feels of each of the regions, or the little areas, I guess, each of the kingdoms, and the different storylines that we ran for each of them. And I liked the way that things started to tie together, and I'm really looking forward to learning more about dragons, too, so.
Alright.
And it was, in my opinion, much more solo-friendly than, and group-friendly than, some of the Mordor content. The bear quest was kind of strange that was solo only, because that is a tough instance. But with the new tweaks, it is possible, although difficult.
It's definitely a challenge.
Definitely still a big challenge. I'm not sure my minstrel's going to be up for it for a long time. But it worked. Even though it was really hard to get through it on my Runekeeper, I did, so. Well, on the second try. But it took my Hunter 2 tries too, because I messed up, so. Yeah, I'll give it an A.
Alright there. See, now, Ariandis, I presume that you have not had an opportunity to experience this yet?
No, so you can skip over me.
Okay. So, Terry.
I'm going to give it an A-. solely because that the weirdness in that Bjorning quest line.
Yeah.
It's just, it wasn't a really organic quest design, and it was, to me, like the only real flaw, because I love the landscape. I wasn't bothered that there were still spiders even after they said the spiders were gone. I mean, you expect some of them didn't get the memo. That's kind of how it is with critters. And really, the whole rest of the storylines flowed together really, really well and really organically. And I was super invested. Well, you guys know. I mean, the listeners don't know. But Pineleaf and Sandswindle were with me every step of the way as I went through this update. And we were reading the quest text out loud and reacting to it out loud. And, like, I was super invested in, like, everything going on up except for the bears.
Yeah.
And I love the fact, like, every time there was a hint of dragons, I was so excited. I was like, dragons! Because, well, I love that there are those lore nuggets for the guys to pick up on, for the folks at Standing Stone to pick up on, and I love that what they've done with it. So, like, I love getting little hints. We don't necessarily have to go fight a dragon ourselves, because that would be a little bit, I mean, kind of on par with expecting to defeat Shelob in anything other than a raid of, like, 24. Finding a dragon is kind of about there for me. But, like, the little hints and teasers and being just behind the Weeping Warrior as he's making his way across for all of these dragons was really fun.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But then you have that bear quest, and it's just
yeah. All right, Maven.
Well, I give it an A, partly because Glordrill got through the bear quest really easily, and I haven't taken the other one that I have through it yet. So that may change when I take the other ones through. But I really just thought the stories, there's actually lots of different stories. It's like the refugee stories, outside Dale, and the stuff going on in Dale, and the stuff going on in Erebor, and helping Thorin the Third, with his stuff, and getting the lecture remote, and that's, you guys will figure that one out. There's just a lot, I mean, they really made it a really rich, it's basically fan fiction at this point, but they've done a really good job with it, and they've stuck with the lore. I think introducing Karsgar has been really interesting, because they added this element of, like, he was the one behind Smaug even going to Erebor in the first place, and that was at Sauron's bequest, and it just, it's like, well, that was interesting. I mean, I wonder if Professor Tolkien would have, like, come up with that if he'd had time. But yeah, I mean, all of it was really fun. It's fun to kind of go do the Hobbit now too, after doing the Fellowship, Footsteps of the Fellowship and the main thing. Now we do sort of the Footsteps of the Company. And I don't know, the whole thing is really good. I mean, there are certain areas that, are a little more troublesome than others, but I love Felagoth. I think, it's really well done. Actually, all the locations, I think, are really well done, based on The Hobbit. So I really enjoyed the whole thing. Can you tell?
Yeah. Yes, that's how that. All right, and for myself, yes, landscapes are definitely an A on the matter. Mobs, pretty much of an A-ish. Quest, well, because of the A minus, because that Bjorning quest line. I have to agree with Terry on that. So I'll say A minus. So let's head into our week in LOTRO. And Terry Adwin, what were you up to?
Well, Terry Adwin got very irritated helping bears.
What?
Yeah. So I was so irritated that at some point I'm going to have to go back. Either I'll have to do it with another character, or I'll have to go look it up on the wiki to see what the quest text was. Because I got through that instance and discovered there were more quests, and I'm like, I'm not even reading this text. I'm just going to get it, and we're going to do it, and it's done. But I finished for real this time all of the Northern Mirkwood content, so we got started on the Lay of Rust and Rime, which is super, super, super exciting, because dragons! Can you guys tell I'm excited by the dragons? Actually, Xing Xing got some pajamas on before attending a picnic, by which I mean we were talking about possibly taking Terry to the picnic, except Terry doesn't do picnics. I just don't. But that's okay. That's why I have other characters. So while I was waiting for Pineleaf and Sans to switch over to our level 50-ish Moria characters, I was like, well, Axley's got some lounging around outfits anyway, but I thought I could work up something new, and it turns out that the pajama cosmetic, which is the sunflower tunic and trousers from last year's summer festival, which still really looks like pajamas, still looks like pajamas on a dwarf. So I dyed it purple and gave him some shoulders and stuff to match, and he went to the picnic dressed in his pajamas, which was awesome. And Well-Dressed Killing Machine has decided that his goal for the summer festival is to get all of the Peacock cosmetics, because I don't know what color I'm going to make him yet. Probably pink, because he will look fabulous. And I was thinking that I hadn't done Summer Festival because Mordor didn't come out until after summer was over, but apparently the Summer Festival Encore came out after Mordor, because he's already 2 steps into the Luck at the Races, Good Day of the Races deed. He actually had a Hobbit win last year, and he had a Dwarf win last year. So he's 2 of 8 on the way. He did not have any luck today. The Hobbit lost. The Hobbit was 2 tables behind all of the other Hobbits when she lost. And I don't know where the Dwarf was. I lost track, but it was very embarrassing. Although fishing on the bridge when your name is up there flashing as Well-Dressed Killing Machine is really funny, because I was watching people like run by and then stop and take a step back, like they're reading, does that really say Well-Dressed Killing Machine? Yeah, it really says Well-Dressed Killing Machine. So, Sans, how was your week?
My week was pretty good. I visited Thring with a group of, well, it was partially a pug group, and partially some people I knew, and all 115, and we wiped, and wiped, and wiped. We spent like an hour wiping before most of the people gave up and we got new people in, and somebody shared with us that like we really only needed to focus on the Defiler and Thring and interrupt, and use the fumaroles to our advantage. It went so much better after that. So we benefited from our perseverance and had a nice hefty repair bill after that. But yeah, it was kind of fun to visit Thring and experience the joy and frustration of trying to figure out what exactly was going on there. So that was cool. And I was really super glad that the Hunter Interrupt skill is fixed and gives focus instead of costing it now, because that would have been really brutal. And attended a very hot picnic with friends. I actually took my champion there with Axley, Xing Xing, and Pineleaf's Hunter. And it was uncomfortably warm. Yeah, kind of like July,
July.
So, yeah, that was pretty cool to see the new instances. And I, earlier today, actually helped the Bjornings with my squishy Runekeeper. And I, like, leading up to it, I was just like, oh, this is, like, the next thing in the quest tracker. Let's go this way. And finally, he was like, are you sure you want to go that way? I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Like, let's do this quest next. And he's like, alright. And so we're going along. We get up to where, like, we find her, and the wood trolls are all standing around at a little bit of a distance, and, like, maybe this wasn't the best idea. I'm starting to think that maybe this wasn't right. He's like, just now this is occurring to you? And I did die once on my first go through the instance. I accidentally managed to aggro 2 trolls off the bear, and that went very poorly. And the interesting thing, though, is I spent way more time at the res circle today than I have in a long time, and it was pretty much all on landscape except for that one instance of trying to get back to places or get to places and looking at my map. Yeah, not only was my map not entirely helpful because I kept thinking like, oh, it looks like I can totally go in a straight line there. But I also kept running into things like wolves and bears or falling off a cliff that killed me or like, I don't know, like 5 or 6 trips to the res circle in not very much time playing today. So, yeah, but my squishy runekeeper did admirably once she figured out how to reduce threat and let the bear do most of the work. So, and I finished up the northern strongholds and opened the dailies in the Lay of Rust and Rhyme, and I'm excited to see the Lay of Rust and Rhyme as it's developing. So, Arindis, how was your week?
Well, I have to say it was not nearly as busy as y'all's. I pulled out my Landrival main that I haven't had a chance to play in a long time and kind of dusted her off, ran a couple skirmishes just to, kind of get the hang of her again and tried to advance the epic story a little bit. I also checked out the Summer Festival for the first time, which is where the question of lag came from earlier. So far, so good. Seems pretty fun, and there are a bunch of different rewards that look pretty cool. So, yeah, that was pretty much my week. Maven, how was your week?
Well, I soloed, fellowed, and raided the Picnic Festival instance, plus killed Thrang. So I've gotten myself like 10 festivity coins now, and 1 token of Thrang. So 9 more, and I can get Thrang's sword. Woohoo! Ran the Abyss raid tier 1 with Ploy and with Terry and Cinderina, and we killed it. We nailed it. Yeah. We got her through all 3 bosses, which is pretty awesome. And Cinders and Terry were able to finish up their books, so that was pretty awesome. And I completed the Black Book epilogue and caught up with the Lay of Rust and Rhyme, speaking of Khrazgar. So that was my week. How about you, Pine Leaf?
My Gladden Lore Master started Volume 3 of the Epic Storyline. So getting all started in that department in there. Which meant, of course, looking for Rangers all over the place. Actually, I'm still halfway through that. I still haven't gotten all of the Rangers. I've only been able to, I think, collect the first half of them. So a few more to collect on there. And then during this field trip, my Minstrel resumed questing in Moria, where I am with one other member of the kinship. We are going in there into Moria slowly because the times which we do is when we're the only 2 there. So if there are other people at the field trip, then we're doing other things. So maybe once every month or 2, we get together, try to remember where we're at, do some questing in there. And he was asking, okay, are we doing all the quests or are we just doing the epic or anything like this? I figured, look, at the rate in which we get to play these characters, doing all the quests, we'd be here for 70 years probably. So therefore we continue on that matter. And then today my burglar was questing with Sans and her sister, where we were going in through this quest in Mirkwood with the Bjorning quest, and I was quite surprised I managed to get through that Bjorning quest without getting killed. This is the same burglar that was completely unable to do a lot of the instances in Mordor, so therefore I was just, oh boy. Because there were a couple of times where it was really, really close in the I did have the hips during the boss fight,
But at least you have that option.
Yeah, at least I had that option there. So I was able to hit during the boss fight on there. And that was just enough because when I was about to go down, that's when the elves arrived in order to stun the troll and all that stuff and help things afterwards. But yeah, I came close to getting killed, but I managed to squeak through it on that character. We currently have 20 supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to join this illustrious array of players and help support LOTRO players, simply go to the donations page where you can support the Players Alliance on Patreon. There you'll find rewards, including a mention on the podcast your choice, or even be guest with us for an episode of LOTRO Players News. This week, we actually have an email from Balak. And Arandis, would you like to read this?
Sure. He says, "Hi there. Greetings, Pineleaf and the sweet and beautiful girls." That's actually in there. I'm not making this up. He says, "I promise I'll find the spelling and greet you by name soon. As a returning player and guardian, what rep or faction should I worry about or try and get in the beginning? As a man, I have Bree at ally and a few friend in 3 or 4 others, plus master and metalsmith, aka armor. Also, sorry Pineleaf, but should I do skirmishes? I still haven't started them by level 34, and I'm wondering if I missed the boat to be able to do them. Many thanks, Balak and Freeman from Landrival and the Sons of Numenor. Have shields and will travel."
Well, first off, concerning your question on whether or not it's too late to start skirmishes at level 34, all I can say on that matter is that I started skirmishing at about level 62, 63 is my estimate on my character. And that's, of course, is because that's the level my character was when skirmishes were first introduced. So it was impossible to start them any earlier than that.
And the short answer is, it's never too late to start.
I was
skirmishing.
going to
Of
say,
course.
really, the answer is it's never too late to start skirmishing.
Yeah, just make sure that you do the tutorial in there, then start training your soldier. If things are a little bit tough, you could always tone it down 1 or 2. But when you're at level 34, you probably won't have too much trouble in there. Yes, it's possible your soldier might be a little bit underpowered until you get the marks in which to train up your soldier. But at level 34, that's not going to be a major problem, I think. It's
still low enough that it's not going to make a huge difference.
There is
level
a
106.
jump. Yeah. Now, the 2 big problems are at level 41 and 106 are the 2 worst jumps in skirmish difficulty. So I will suggest that you try to start them and get them set up, because you don't want to start at level 41. That's a real pain one. And of course, level 106 is an even bigger pain in which to try to start there. But no, 34, it's not too late. So get in there, do them, and skirmish responsibly.
About rep, if you get Breed of Kindred, you get a port. But you're a man, so you probably get a port anyway.
No, you'd actually Race of Man isn't eligible for that port because it's their
Right,
because they get an earned one, so therefore
right,
they
that's what I'm
can't
saying.
get the
Like,
rep. Yeah,
he probably doesn't need the rep one because he's Race of Man. Trying to think what else.
But there's a reason to do skirmishes, because if you do skirmishes and you bank up a bunch of marks, you can spend those marks to get clickies to increase your rep with various factions. Any faction that has rep clickies, those clickies are available on the skirmish camp.
And you also get 700 rep for the faction that's associated with the skirmish, like Trouble and Tuck
they're
Bros
the
for
good
the
rep
pockets.
clickies.
Yeah, so between the good rep clickies and the 700 you get for running the skirmish itself, yeah. Just don't forget to train your soldier with some of those marks.
Yeah.
And let's see. So as for what factions you get to worry about, so a lot of people like to get Thorn's Hall, for example, so they could get the goat before they reach Moria, but that's,
It's more of a concern in later zones because any faction that you can get a port with for a later zone is handy to have because they don't share cooldowns, so you can have multiple ports available to you. They just are all going to cool down on however long your cooldowns are.
Yeah, so rep ports are very nice for that reason.
When you don't have a pocket hunter.
When you don't have a pocket hunter, yeah. There is that. Let's see. So Maven, do you have any rep or factions that you like to get?
Well, Sam said the thing about Bree, but that's for non-man races. That's always an important one for me to get, so I get that port. I think I can go the opposite way and say Lone Lands is probably least important for me, only because it's so annoying that the only way you really get rep is through clickies and by kills. There's no token. There's not. I don't mean clickies. I mean task board. There are no clickies, so that's annoying.
Crafting.
In crafting. That's crafting.
Yeah, they have crafting.
Oh, that's right. They have those things you can make. Yeah,
you have quests to get so many X number.
That's also annoying.
I only know that because it was how Sarissa did one of it. It's how Sarissa got her rep with that faction.
Well, and getting rep with the elves. I mean, getting the access to Karisk Elephant is kind of convenient. So getting that rep is. But
at level 34, it's not going to.
Oh, at 34, no, you're right. I was going on beyond because Moria and that stuff. Yeah, no, I think Bree, but again, you're a man, so don't have to worry about it. I'm trying to remember what the other ones are. Shire is nice to get, but not, like totally.
I mean,
necessary.
You can have a horse for 5 gold, but.
Yeah, Thorin's Hall is okay, but I mean, you can get that a lot later when you get to 50, or is it 50 to go into Sarnor?
Yeah.
Yes. I guess my bottom line there is at those levels, if you've got other stuff to do, I think I would be more interested in getting my deeds completed in those areas because that's going to give you, virtues. So if I was going to do something, if I needed to pick between rep and deeds, I would go for the deeds and not worry too much about the rep at that level.
Very well. So that's the answer on that. And hopefully they answered all the questions you've got on that matter. But if you would like to send us an email, you can send it to podcast@LotroPlayers.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, the Players Alliance @PlayersAlliance, LotroPlayers @LotroPlayers, Arendis @Arendis, Pineleaf @Pineleaf Needles, Senswinda @Senswinda, and Terry Edwin @Terry Edwin. And you could follow Maven
at Tolkien Maven.
At Tolkien Maven.
At Tolkien Maven. The Players Alliance has 4 shows. On Mondays at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have DDO Players News, but we are currently under hiatus for DDO Players News due to Dracula moving to a new location. Every Saturday at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have LOTRO Players News. Every other Thursday at 9:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have XP Quest. And on the first Tuesday of each month at 9:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time, we have Chromatic Bits. You can join us for our shows at LOTROPlayers.com/live. And that is all for tonight. And this is Pilot News reminding you to skirmish responsibly.